So of all the cars I've owned, the Audi S6 probably ended up being one of my favorites, and after a very long year with this car, I realised I haven't actually talked about it too much here on the channel. I remember I showed it off after the paint was done, and unfortunately today, after washing it last night, a bird did decide to target the car just a little bit. But I'm going to talk you through some of the things we've done so far, and also some of the things yet to do over the winter as we prepare for next season, as you know, just to kind of get this car finished. It's almost there. It's about 90% there where I want it to be, but there's a couple of little bits to kind of fix and sort out over the winter. So one of the most important parts of this car is, of course, the 5-cylinder turbo engine. These came in two variations. One was as a 4.2 litre V8. The other was the 5-cylinder turbo. So of course this engine here is the 5-cylinder turbo 20 valve 2.2 litre, very similar to my Audi Coupe Quattro. The block of this is pretty much the same thing. The biggest difference is, of course, the cams, but also the fact that the Coupe Quattro just doesn't have a turbo. Well, it doesn't at the moment. One of the big plans I have for this car over the winter is to just kind of tidy up the whole engine bay, because, as I say, this car has been off the road for 10 years. There's a lot of stuff that we kind of had to rush to get to Doveshed in time, and kind of the engine bay and what's under here was a bit neglected, just because I just don't have I like not having this up too much. Thankfully this year, touch wood, we actually haven't had it up this much. The only issue we had under the engine bay was the alternator went on us. I think, was it going to Driftmasters? The alternator went on us and ended up having to nurse it 3 hours home with an alternator that completely shot itself. But one thing I'm really thankful for under the engine bay is the fact that it is still all original paint, so there's no kind of messing around with stuff being repainted. All of this will tidy up really well, and this whole space should be really sparkling come maybe February, March next year, when this car starts going to shows again. Aside from that, one thing I do really want to look at in the future is upgrading that turbo. At the moment it's quite a small turbo. Pushing out from factory, they're pushing out about 230. I'm not 100% sure of what this setup is currently pushing out, but you know, maybe it might be something that we look into in the future. Coming around the front of the car then, one of the biggest things that I've really been really grateful for is the fact that it has twin projector headlights, something that not a lot of cars back in the 90s had, especially when you consider that this is a fairly old design, and design of car that's been around since probably the early 90s. You know, the S4 would have been the pre-facelift to this. Some of the differences then, again, in comparison to the standard A6, or yeah, the standard A6, the first generation A6, would have been the bumper, these wider arches, and obviously the engine, as well as then the interior, because we have a full black leather Recaro interior, and this car is also an S6 plus spec car, which means that it gets a couple of added little extras, such as the carbon trim with the blue weave, black window surrounds, black grille, and a black headliner inside there as well. As we talk about inside, we have one little issue, well, one kind of issue that I want to get rid of as soon as possible, and that is this automatic transmission, and also get a cup holder, because we currently don't have cup holders in here, as most Audis of the 90s don't. But other than that, the interior, I'm not going to change around too much. I'm not going to play around with too much. I love everything about this place, aside from the automatic gearbox. So there is a 2.5 litre TDI Quattro gearbox out of like a 2005, I think, Audi A4 going into it. That should be able to hold up to like 500 or 600 Newton meters of torque from what I can remember, so it should be absolutely plenty for what we've planned with this car. So back around the outside, one of the big things we did was put it on KWV1 coilovers. These have made an absolute massive difference to the way this car drives, and also the way the car looks. As well as that, we have Rotiform OZRs, and again, Rotiform and KWs are available from retrogarage.ie, so if you are looking for any Rotiform or KW parts, just email me, aaron@retrogarage.ie, and I can get you a price on them. But behind those Rotiform OZRs, we have one of my favorite upgrades so far, and that is the Porsche Cayenne Turbo S Brembo 18Zs with the Audi S8, like a 2021 generation Audi S8 discs on there. So that makes this front setup 350mm in the front, as well as 6-piston Brembo 18Z there as well. So I've owned this car for just over a year at this stage, and one of the things you might remember from the very first video where I kind of picked that car up was this quarter needed quite a bit of paint work. Obviously at some stage there was some kind of paint reaction, and that kind of started blistering away. Similarly, I got pretty much all of this side of the car painted, the bumpers front and back, as well as the bonnet, and honestly, you know, hats off to Jack Wilson, Sticky36 on Instagram, because he has done an immaculate job. There's a couple of things that we're going to kind of rework. Some of the panels he hasn't painted already, we might actually paint those over the winter as well. I don't know if he knows of that yet, but Jack, I guess we're repainting parts of the car. Yeah, you know now. Around the back then, we have one of those things that I just love about old school Audis, and that is the heck blended. That is the fact that you have this big red strip of light that goes the whole way from literally left to right, one side of the car to the other, encompassing the number plate in it. You know, the Coupe Quattro has the same thing. Alwyn, who's behind the cameras, Audi Cabriolet has the same thing as well. The Audi 80 Avant doesn't have it yet, but is going to get something similar. But yeah, the rear end of this car is like, I absolutely love it. So initially I did want to get an Avant. I've always been a massive fan of Audi Avants, especially when they're performance Audi Avants. I think there's something quite cool of like a dad car. But do you know what? Now that I have the saloon, and now that I've spent like, you know, pretty much, I think 6-7 months with this saloon and driving it around all of Ireland to different shows, I've really come to like this kind of shape, like the fact that the cabin is quite enclosed and you don't have that like massive estate boot behind you either. And I just think it actually looks a lot better, and a lot, especially with the wheels and the setup that I have. I think this just looks really good, and I'm really happy with that. On the back then as well, one of the things you might notice, either through looks or else through hearing it, is of course that twin 3-inch tips at the back. And honestly, I think it sounds brilliant. If Alwyn might say it sounds a little bit loud for Alwyn's liking. So we're going to be toning that back just a little bit, but so far I'm fairly happy with how we are with it. But yeah, so this is my Audi S6 C4 generation, and it is a car that honestly has been, I guess, a really nice car to have as my first like retro garage project. This is probably the first car I actually bought since retro garage became a thing. The Coupe Quattro, the Avant, all of those cars, the GTI, all of those pre-existed retro garage. So this is the first official retro garage project, and I can't wait to get the manual swap done. Let me know what you think I should do with like power wise. Should I keep it as standard or should I go a bit higher? And also what you think should be the next project, because we have a couple in the pipeline. We have, of course, my Audi 80 Avant, which needs to be done. We have, of course, Alwyn behind the cameras, Audi Cabriolet, which I kind of want to do a lot with in terms of getting that car show ready for next year. As well as that, we have the GTI and also a mad idea. Let me know which one of those you think we should do. So big thank you for watching, and check out Retro Garage on TikTok, Instagram, and everywhere else. And also check out retrogarage.ie if you want anything such as rotiform wheels, KW suspension, press plates, and any of the stickers or merch that we have. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you as always in the next Retro Garage video. Take care. But yeah, the rear end of this car is like, I absolutely love it. Initially I wanted, what?
It was just the way you said it, I'm sorry, I thought it was funny.
It's okay.
I think
It's okay, we'll leave that in now.
I forgot, I'm sorry.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah, go. No, I don't like that.